recording. Good evening, happy Sunday or happy Monday, everybody. Happy Juneteenth. Welcome back to the legendary Gold Rush Weekly Watch List. We are 35 minutes off track. Shout out S for running the show. Obviously, I don't know what the hell's in his water. He's been on fire the past like 3 weeks. I feel like not even like taking any plays. I feel like just taking yours, taking Jake's plays, and just like taking it easy, to be honest with you. But thank you for filling the gap. Actually, a couple of the names that I have here, you've already discussed. I'll just briefly add if I see something, but otherwise, spot on as always. Let me see how many we have today, real quick. Okay, not too much. So SPX, first one. SPX, obviously, this is a daily chart. Let's switch over to the weekly chart. We are well above the pivot that I was looking for here on this week. We blew right through it this past week, and it started on Monday, and we didn't have a red day until Friday. So very, very strong week. We're now within the range of this candlestick here on April the 21st of last year. So I expect us to, based on what I see in this range here, I see like 7 or 8 candlesticks within this range. So I expect us to potentially chop around this area for a bit. 4,500 is going to be a magnet, but it also might be a very strong level of rejection. So if we can overtake 44.50, then I expect a nice tightening before a potential pullback. Now we do have small volume gaps to fill within these two candlesticks here. So I expect that to happen at some point in the future. And I would love for it to happen sooner than later. I like this strength. I'm a bull, so I love this strength, but I don't like to see just like unadulterated green candles to the upside. Like I like to see consolidation like this before we get a nice move. So give me some added consolidation above this line here at 43.92. Just at the bottom of this range, build some strength out, and then try to work our way to break through the top of the range. But with names like Apple at all-time high, Microsoft sitting at all-time high very casually, right? I think that there's a continuation as long as those names hold exactly where they are right now. But we'll see. We'll see what the market gives us. QQQ is the next one. QQQ is just absolutely ripping, as you know. Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple are very highly weighted in QQQ. I am looking for, where are we in relation to this? Yeah, we rejected just at this previous pivot level. So we would have to really take over that level at 370.98. We'd have to like form a candlestick and hold right in that area in order to continue to go upside. And then we got some nice targets above the 374 level. We got 375, obviously magnetic number. Then we have 380 right in the middle of that, right here or so. And then we have 388, which is the top of the previous pivot. And then I bet there's going to be a bunch of traffic up here at the 400 level, right? So let's take it a week at a time. I think that if we do get that healthy pullback, that'll allow this 20-day moving average to kind of, find its way up into this level and let price kind of sit on it and bounce on it. As you'll see on some of the other tickers that we'll discuss today, that 20 is going to be crucial. But I do like it. I do like where it's at. I do want it to pull back just a little bit, just so that we can have build up some more, some more of that coiling, some more of that resting, and let the battery charge before we continue to move to the upside. XLE. XLE looks very, very tight on the daily. We were stuck within the range of this candlestick here from last week, Wednesday. We've just been stuck within that range, kind of bouncing around, trying to figure out where we got to go. We never broke out above the 50-day on this day. The day of the big candle, we closed above it. The next day we opened above it and failed and came down below it. So that 50-day is going to be crucial. So if you do like energy, I would go ahead and just watch XLE. Let XLE form a candlestick above this 50-day moving average, which is currently sitting at around 81.60. Once that happens, then you can pile into those energy names, right? Go into that XOM, that CVX, that Oxy, whichever one meets your criteria. And then, if we do get a candlestick that kind of forms here and doesn't overtake that 50-day, we can play it right back to the 20-day, right? And I think that within the next few days, the 20-day and the 50-day will get much closer, and they'll kind of tighten up and form a potential wedge. It's actually already kind of started, but right, we kind of got this action going on here. So I think that there's going to be a big move coming out of this unless we break out of that 50-day early in the week. So that's XLE and XLE energy tickers. Next one's XLF. I really love where XLF is now. Just to zoom out a little bit, we did bounce a bunch off of that rising support line. You know, every time price gets down here, buyers bring it right back up. And a couple of weeks ago, we kind of discussed where it was here, and we expected the bounce, and it just absolutely ripped out of that bounce. I haven't really been playing. The only one that I have my eye on really is JP Morgan. Personally, there's a lot of other bank names. GS went crazy for you guys the last couple of weeks. Bank of America made a nice move for us a couple weeks ago. But I like JP Morgan, so I don't really play anything besides JP Morgan in that sector. But we did get a bounce. We got a nice consolidation at this previous resistance line, breakout, retest on all three of these days. Price came back to that level and bounced to show that there's buyers liking it at that level. And then we had kind of a doji that formed on it, a day that broke up the upside of the previous range, a day that broke the upside of the previous range, day that broke the upside of the previous range into the 200 day, and then a day that gapped up and came back down through the 200 day. So I want to see what happens with this 200 day tomorrow. If we do open above that 33.65-ish, then that'll show strength for XLF. And in which case you can start thinking about whatever bank, whatever institution that you like to potentially buy calls. Otherwise, if we do fail or we do get a hard, I think that we can try to fill the range of this candlestick to the downside, right? That 33.43 might act as potential support because it was previous resistance a couple of times, right? And actually looking over to the left, it's been support as well in the past. Just way over there, way over here, right? We've seen support in this area before. So, you know, so let's just let's wait and see. Maybe you can play it down into this 33.43 if you want to play puts. Otherwise, I expect there to be a potential bounce in this area, especially if this previous resistance will act as support now in the future for XLF. So I have just a few names, nothing crazy and nothing that you haven't seen before. JP Morgan's the first one. Let's see. So now this is why I like JP Morgan. Very clear. I mean, it's just been forming this inverse head and shoulders. I just kind of want to see where it was at. Yeah, JP Morgan traded up way higher, and now it's kind of made this. Let's go to the weekly real quick. Nice strong bounce, strong move down. You know, pretty much. So we had some consolidation here, pull back hard on this is, I think, COVID, and then consolidated, gapped. Nice run from whatever this time was. Formed kind of a head and shoulders, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder, down, and put in a nice bounce here. A couple of weeks of indecision with an expanding range. You see this is like this bar expanded the range of this bar expanded the range of that bar, and then it just ripped to the upside. And now we're kind of forming higher highs and higher lows. We haven't, going back to the daily, we haven't really so the highest high I think that we formed is this candlestick here at 144.34. This one here gave us 144. Okay, so what did I say here? 144.34, 144.04, 143.97. So we haven't taken out this high yet, but we're pretty close. I mean, we're just right there, right? You have price coming down, sellers bringing it all the way down, buyers bringing it back up, sellers bringing it back down to right into the 50-day. Tested the 50 once, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and now we're expanding the range to the upside. We want to take out that 143.84 resistance level, this line right here, to then try to give us a nice move to the upside. Now, I think that once we do break out above this level, I think we get to 150 fairly quickly. So there might be a 150 call in your future for JP Morgan, especially now that June OPEX is done, and I believe seasonality is in favor of the banks coming into summertime. And that's another thing with like tech, QQQ, Microsoft, AMD, Nvidia, you know, maybe Tesla, maybe not Tesla, Apple, Microsoft. They usually have a weaker seasonality coming into the summertime, usually as a catalyst of quad witching. I don't know if it's going to be the same case this year. I mean, we've studied these markets for a couple of years together, and we've seen just different behavior throughout all this time. So who knows? What I do like is, let me just go ahead and see where. Yeah, so my low for this Fibonacci was a low here, and the high was a swing high over here, right? So let me just draw a line there so that it's clear. I drew a fib from this high, which we're already above, to this low. And So I kind of want to see if we do fail below this resistance. I want to see a pull back to that 786 fib. The 50-day might reach us there and act as additional support, or the $140 level might act as support, right? Depending on what's going on. But if we don't immediately break out, I want to see a pull back to that 140 level, and then buyers kind of take control and step back in for JP Morgan. So I really like it to the upside. I think it has more upside than downside. I think it has a better risk reward to the upside than downside. If you did want to go short, you can play pretty much this little range that I have established here. Take it below the low of day, and then you can play it down to this body here, bottom of that body, and then, you know, wherever the 20-day will be at that point, right around there. So, and if you do want to take calls, obviously you take the high of day. Above that, you can play the 145. Above that, you can play the 147. Above that, 150 for JP Morgan. Next one is Lulu. Lulu's been this thing is an absolute monster. I mean, I didn't realize how crazy, you know, how wildly it moved, and it's just been tearing. So now I just want to switch this over to like a 2-day, so we can fill some of those price gaps. Let's do 3-day. There, okay. So each candlestick is 3 days worth of price action. So we got some consolidation here, and then a big nasty drop. Right, and then price kind of went sideways a bit, a little bit of a dip, and then a monster rip with earnings as a catalyst back to that supply zone where we previously fell off. It pulled back, came down hard. Another earnings kind of catalyst. Price opened up and went up, touched that supply zone, came back down, and now it's working its way back into that supply zone. Now you can see that we formed a red candlestick right on the supply zone to sell off a little bit. Let's go to the daily. So this is 1 day worth of price, you know, comparing back to the 3-day candlesticks. So now I would love to see price kind of pull back to this candle here where that body is, and I want to see sellers kind of step in. I mean, buyers step in. You see that buyers already stepped in at the end of the day, and this was a red day for the market as a whole, right? The entire market gave you a red day. So I would consider that there's a potential for this to really break out above these highs. I think the most local high is here. Right, let me go back. Obviously, this thing's been much higher, but the most local ones that are here at 389. Above 389, we can get 395. Above that, 400. 400 is like magnetic for Lulu, I think. Might give it like 2 weeks to play out. And I would just continue to watch news. I feel like Lulu, it seems like it moves based off of these earnings. I haven't really seen, you know, the reason why it makes big moves such as this one here or this one here. It could be news based, so I would just, if you are playing it, I would just pay attention to the news and look for a catalyst for Lulu. Looking at what they have going on in the news now, good news for Adidas means good news for, you know, for its competitors sometimes, right, or its peers rather. Let's call it that. You know, I passed by a couple of Lululemon stores in the city today, and they were just, they were, I mean, obviously today is a federal holiday, and Manhattan's always full of tourists, but, you know, they were just packed. And my wife was like, can we go inside? And I'm like, there's too many people in there. I'm getting very anxious. So, you know, if that's an indicator, you know, if that's not an indicator, then what will be, right? I like it to the upside. I mean, it has this low here. It has this higher low here. You know, I won't really count this one yet, but, you know, we have yet to form a higher high. So let's see if we can break into that 400 level and then kind of pull back and see if we can land above this 373. Let's look at Nike since DYT mentioned it real quick. Yeah, Nike looks beautiful. Let's see. Let's go to the weekly. So I love charts that look like this because we have the lows are established and the highs are established, so we don't have to like try to figure out where things are going to go. We can easily revisit some of these, you know, this rising support here. I'm going to draw this and just like really go through that all that price action and kind of ignore it from the past there. I'm just going to tie it up to this level here. So that's the weekly. Let's go back to the daily. We do have a very kind of clear levels where price has been in the past, and we see clear pivots. We see where price kind of consolidates before making big moves. Right now, Nike is currently sitting above its 200-day moving average, which is that black line. We did put in kind of an inside bar on Thursday, gap up on Friday, which, you know, to the credit, the market entirely did the same thing at all. I kind of went up, gapped up, and then pulled in a red candle. Now, Nike looks more like a very, I would call it a strong doji, only because the rest of the market put in a big bar on this day. I think there's strength in the fact that this didn't pull down as hard as it did, as it could have. It didn't come back to the 200-day, which I think is very important. It looks like all the support that was sitting on the bottom of this candlestick is also sitting here. It looks like all of the sellers that were sitting here are buyers here on the Nike daily chart. So I would go ahead and use these levels here as your entry and exit levels. You know what I'm saying? And then if you want to get a little bit more risky, then you can go ahead and take the break of the day high and take it into this previous level here. And then above that, you can take it into the bottom of this body here, where there's a bunch of price action just looking over to the left at 116.38. And then your next level will be the 117.43, where you'll probably meet the 50-day, right? 50-day will probably be there tomorrow and then below it on the next day. So I like it to the upside. I think that this 200-day is going to act as potential support. So if we do come down to test it, you can take a nice risky entry from Nike below the low of day, right into the 200, break down below 113.10 into 112.35. It'll give us a nice 85 cent move. Where I think sellers will give it up and buyers will step in. So just be very careful. Otherwise, I mean, if it opens up like down here somewhere at 112.59 and it flushes, it can easily come down to take the low of Thursday's candlestick, right? So let's not ignore setup when it's there. But I do like it. It's very clear, even with like all these little gaps and stuff. I think it's very good, very nicely set up. And if Adidas is going to go up and Lulu is going to go up, then why wouldn't Nike go up, right? Let's talk about FedEx. FedEx has earnings on Tuesday, tomorrow. And that's tomorrow, I think in the morning. Oh, tomorrow night. So there's a potential for a day trade unless you're very, very risky and you like to hold through earnings. I would not advise towards it, but on a technical aspect, we filled this gap entirely. And it took a little while, but we got it done. Let's see. I want to see FedEx above that 238.57 before we get bullish. And then I also want to see it above. I kind of want to see it above that 242.38 level, where we can clear all of these sellers here on this candlestick, all the sell pressure that's sitting right across this line, all the sellers here on this candlestick, and even this kind of what looks like a very weak supply zone here. For FedEx. Now, the only thing that I would say is, I mean, we can watch the tape on this one and see where it's gonna go tomorrow, right? We can just watch tape all day on it and say, oh, there's a bunch of buyers smashing into it. You look at not only this Friday strikes, but next month and the following month strikes and September strikes and December strikes. And if you see that there's a bunch of people at the 250s and the 260s and the 270s and the 300s out for December, then that means that people are very bullish on this. And if you did want to take a shot, you can go ahead and jump into some of those later, especially maybe 2 weeks out, at least 2 weeks out, 250s or so, 275s or so, just so that you can limit some exposure to IV crush that'll occur if you buy this week's plays, right? So if you're interested in playing it and you want to scalp it, go ahead and buy Fridays. If you want to hold through earnings, if you want to keep some of Fridays, because let's say it made a nice move all day and it gave you some profit, go ahead by all means. Otherwise, I would maybe buy a position that has some time, or buy something very, very cheap for Friday that, look for the expected move, which we'll share with you tomorrow once the market opens on FedEx for an expectation of how many points it could do tomorrow. And we're in June, so I think the holiday stuff got caught on this earnings gap. This was back when. This was March. So yeah, all the holiday stuff, all Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, all that stuff, all the deliveries of people buying stuff because nobody goes to the stores anymore got caught within this gap up. And then we kind of formed a double bottom right at this level at 215 and change. And now we're forming a higher high here, right? Here's your first high. There's your second higher high. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really shop. I mean, that's bullshit. We shop online just as a regular, but for holiday stuff, like I'm usually just like, or for birthday stuff, I usually go to the store and buy something that's more thoughtful. I think that FedEx business, especially being as beat down as it has with all this price coming down, I think that there's a potential for it to just continue to rise. I'd have to see what their expectation is. Let's see. They're expecting 4.854 earnings per share and $22 billion in revenue. They estimated higher last time. Estimation was 22.71 on March report, and they came in lower than that. Estimation is just a little bit lower than that, so a little bit more realistic. So let's see. I mean, again, it's earnings, so nothing that we're talking about matters. What's going to matter is what they say and how people react to it, right? So that's that. Let's go back to where are we at? Lulu Marvell. Marvell, I was looking for support here as of a couple weeks ago. It did kind of maintain it. We flushed a little bit here, picked it back up, came back, retested, and are now forming price within the range of this candlestick here. So, I mean, realistically, you can do whatever you want with this. I mean, let me just flatten this a little bit. You can really do whatever you want with this. You can wait until it starts breaking and forming higher highs within this little range. You can see that's already kind of breaking down. And so if you want, you could play puts right back into that 20-day. Right, this is one of those tickers that I was, the 20 days is going to be crucial. That blue line right there is going to be crucial. You can smash puts right into this, especially with seasonality the way it is for some of these names. It's already made a nice run. People made a lot of money on this nice little run up here. On some of these days, we've definitely caught it up and down. Maybe it's another downside play coming back to this 20-day moving average. So I would just keep that in mind for Marvell. Next one is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, let's look at the weekly real quick. I mean, this thing is just absolute monster, right? Nice strong gap, some indecision for a couple of weeks, back to back, and then a continuation move. It looks like it rejected right at, what's the high of this candlestick? It rejected right at 437. I kind of want to see it get to 450 before it cools off. Now, if you look at this is a very, very nice clean move. Let me go ahead and give you all, we'll start it here. Some nice levels to potentially watch out for. Now we want to see NVIDIA form above this 409 and kind of hold this level here where previous resistance was, find support, and then I think we can get that 450. Nice and simple, nothing crazy, right? Let's see, let's go to the daily. Yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. Obviously, I wanted to hold this gap. I don't think we're going to come back down to this gap, especially with everything that's going on in this industry, in this sector. So let's see what happens. UPS is finally above so we consolidated a bunch down here. We formed this kind of nice strong gap down from earnings with a good results, right? Good results. They didn't make their revenue by 63.8 million, so a little bit of a loss there, but price came down, gap back up to the 200-day, forced it back down. So I definitely think that there's a little bit of supply sitting in this level based on what I see with this price action. But we're back above that 200-day moving average. The sellers brought price down below it on Friday, but then buyers brought it right back up and closed it right at the 200-day moving average. It's actually going to like the 15-minute. Yeah, I mean, we closed right at the 200-day moving average. We can either go up or down right from the 200-day. So I think we're in an interesting spot for UPS. Let's go back to the daily. UPS is in an interesting spot. I mean, I think that if we can hold this 200-day, I think this 100-day here is magnetic at 181.32. Beneath the 200-day, we can target that 50-day, which is just 40 cents or 50 cents below, and try to find some support in this level here where there was previous resistance at around 176. I want to see a continuation. I think that UPS is going to be a nice safe play to play for FedEx earnings, right? You think FedEx is going to go up, buy some UPS calls. You don't got to worry about the IV crush. Although I will say that there might be some potential. There might be a market maker move built on UPS based on FedEx earnings, right? There's an expected move because it's a peer, but who knows? We'll see what happens tomorrow. Let me go to the 1 hour real quick. I just want to see something. Yeah, I mean, all these moving averages are consolidated. The 50's crossing through the 200, and if price continues to go up, then we get that cross right back above, getting a golden cross. That will be the real signal. Where this 50 crosses through that black line and up to the upside. We got the 100-day sitting right there as a first target, 181. Then above that, we got some previous targets that I have listed out on my chart here. And then we have a nice gap to the upside. The gap that cannot be ignored, right? So I think that UPS is going to be very, very nice for us this week based on what happens with FedEx. So let's see. Starbucks held the 200-day moving average and bounced. I signaled some shares over here. I was hoping that it would do what it did, which it did. It kind of, bounced on that demand zone level. So good spot to buy. I'm targeting, it broke through most of my targets for the week. The final target to break through is this 102.89. Above that, we got to hit that, we have to hit that 50-day moving average. It looks like it's right around 104 and 50 cents. Let me charge this thing. $104.50 is what I'm looking for. Oh, you're talking about all the sirens and the race cars out there. Yeah, it's crazy. City's hot, man. So yeah, we're targeting that 100-day, that 50-day for the next couple of weeks. I would say 2 weeks or so we'll be at that 50-day for Starbucks. Now there's a potential head and shoulders forming on Starbucks. The neckline is actually this demand zone, right? We got that. We have a head right here, and now back to that demand zone, and then we have a potential future shoulder that can form, right in this area. So I really want to see Starbucks take this price out ultimately. And I'm not saying obviously it's not going to happen in 1 week. I want to see it over the course of a couple of months, just rip through that level, rip through this level here where the, is that all time high? No. Rip through this level here and get back into all this previous price action up here at 130 something, I believe. Yeah, look at that little island up there at 126 and change. So I like it to the upside. It's above the 200-day. It's set up nicely. All the moving averages are consolidated. It's forming higher highs and higher lows. It kind of broke down and tested some of the lows here, but I think that we're gonna work our way higher for Starbucks. Next one is Tesla. Tesla has been an absolute delight to play. This thing's been going insane for, I think it did 14 sessions or 13 sessions in a row before it finally got a lower high of day on Thursday. And then we did make a new high of day on Friday. Tesla 265 is a crucial level to break. This high of this day was 263.60. So above that, we can play 265 into 275. We got the weekly pivot here. I want to get into the range of this one candlestick here. That's what I want. So I'll expect Tesla to do it this week. They have earnings in a couple of weeks or a couple of months actually. So end of July looks like. So not much going on in terms of that, but there are a bunch of catalysts. I heard that there was what country was it in Europe that wants Tesla to build some of their manufacturing facility out in Europe. I forget which one it was. You guys were talking about it on Thursday or Friday. They got something going on in Fresno. They're just expanding. They have lowered their inventory price so that they can move more volume. I think, and then he appointed a CEO. He was talking about the CEO way back here, and exactly what we thought it would do is exactly what it did. It's been ripping ever since people realized that he can focus his energy back on Tesla, right? Let Twitter be what it is and focus back on Tesla. So I want to see break of high of day into this range. Above this range, we can try to test looks like the 272.19 level. Above 272.19, we can get, let me just mark that off, 272, yeah, 270.21, 272.24, close enough. Above that, we can get the high of this candlestick at 275.57. Above that, 280. Above 280, 283.65. and then above that 290 where that pivot, that pretty strong pivot is right here, right before that big massive slide down. So these are the levels to the upside. I think Tesla could do it in a week or two, probably definitely this week, depending on what goes on in the market. News says, talking about lithium, Intel spends 33 billion in Germany in landmark expansion, and some market data that might affect Tesla. Next one is Netflix. Now, you know, again, same thing in Jake we trust, right? I don't have the best read on Netflix. However, I do want to see it find support here at this 425.90 level. If it can find support there, then maybe consolidate a few days and let this 20-day catch up to it. You know, I just don't want to, if we break down below this level, we can target that 414.76 with Netflix, unless you are spending a lot of money up front for it, which you can, right? No big deal. Unless you're doing that, you got to go pretty deep out the money, and in which case, if you buy like on a Monday or Tuesday, you should hold it into the week, because Netflix likes to move multiple, you know, it gives you 2 or 3 days in the same direction. Now, based on this price action here, we did have this gap down, and then we have this kind of supply zone here. So I drew this box and I extended it, and that's kind of where we're rejecting now. I want to see it build some strength in this area so we can try to retarget that supply zone. Final target for this would be 470 14, and then above that 500, which will put us pretty close to the gap fill for Netflix. I do like Netflix. I mean, higher highs and higher lows, good consolidation, nice rippy moves, good pullback. You know, nothing crazy about this pullback. I mean, it was a red day for the market. I was telling somebody that, you know, quad witching is basically whoever moves the most gets sold off the most on that Friday, and Netflix is definitely one of those candidates that moved insanely well for this quarter, and it's fine for a little bit of pullback, right? No big deal. So I like it. I like it to downside into that line, and I want to see it kind of hold. Right, I want to see it hold this level. If it doesn't hold this level, I want to see it pull back to this 414.90. Let the 20-day catch up. Let the 50-day rise, and then from there, kind of work its way back up. TSM, same thing. TSM, you know, it's falling wedge into this previous resistance level. I want to see it hold this level here at 104.44. Underneath that, maybe 103.77-ish, right? I just want to see it hold price within the upper level, the upper range of this kind of box right here. Let me just go ahead and draw it. I want to see it hold on the top half of this box. So like somewhere like that. I want to see it price hold within this box here. Not come down and test the bottom of this range. If it does, I mean, the 20 days right there is a magnet, but I want to see more. I want to see price kind of curve and turn around a little bit here, go sideways a little bit here, and then work its way back up for TSM. Now tomorrow we might get, depending on what we get in the market, let's see. Depending on what we get, yeah, I mean, we're putting in a red day so far on ES, breaking the low of Friday. So depending on what happens, we might get a nice short play to the downside right into this 102 level for TSM, and then kind of let this catch up a little bit. We'll see what happens. I don't like to force things. I mean, it is a nice downside play, good risk reward to the downside. You can set the open, which was 105.43 as your stop. You can set the entry as the break of the low of day, or you can just smash at the open, right? At the whatever it opens at, just smash puts. Maybe the 100 puts would be nice to give you like a nice 2 or 3 day move to the downside. If it doesn't hold in this area, you know, break down below and get that $100 85 mark. But we'll see. Again, we'll see. I think it has good risk reward in both directions. I do like it to the downside. I want to see it pull back a little bit, but I also don't want to see it fill this all the way down. I want to see it kind of fill a little bit here, go sideways, and then work its way back up. Twilio has a nice cup and handle off of a double bottom, right? You have a nice cup here, right? Nice cup with a little handle there. You got a nice little double bottom or triple bottom, whatever you want to call it. Big breakout move, nice pullback, consolidation, came back to test the low of this range. and then working its way to test back the high, right? Lots of buyers stepped in on Friday, so I want to see if this can break out above the range of this candlestick here. Above that, we can get to the open of this candlestick, and then we can get to the high of the candlestick, and then we can get to the high of this pivot here. So I do love it to the upside, I think. And look at their earnings. You know, they've beaten forever and ever and ever and ever. So I think that Twilio's positioned well to continue to move to the upside, especially with this new higher low that it's formed. Let's see if we can break and form a new higher high up here above this $80 mark for Twilio. Yes, AMD is poised for a nice downside. LRCX, now LRCX is one of the main watches for this week. LRCX will be the indicator for Nvidia, for AMD, and I'll show you real quick. I took AMD out. AMD I took out Meta, I took out Microsoft Snow, you know, most MU I took out most of the names that usually I'll have. You know, Nvidia, I think I took out. Where's Nvidia? Yeah, Nvidia's like down here somewhere. Because Nvidia was up here. Yeah, I mean, again, I want to see it hold this level. I think that semis, I think that they're all going to pull back, right? I think that there's a lot of pullback in these levels. Now, the only thing I will say is if LRCX finds support at this 20-day, that might be a good reason for them to not pull back as hard as we want them to, right? This is the most crucial setup, I think, in the market right now, is this LRCX. They all kind of move in sympathy with one another, and so if we do get that, there it is, if we do get that so that demand zone bounce again at this level, right? Even if we peek our head up underneath this 20-day moving average and buyers step in and bring it up, the same thing is going to happen for AMD, right? We're going to get buyers step in at that 20-day and rip it up. Same thing's going to happen for Nvidia. We're going to get buyers step in at this previous demand zone right here, this intraday demand zone right here, or maybe even where this previous resistance was, and bring it up. You know, TSM, right? Same thing. We're going to get that demand. We're going to get that demand that's going to rip it up. LRCX, I'm just going to watch this in the morning. This is going to be one of my few charts that I watch to see if there's a continuation to the upside, or if it's going to break that 20-day and give us a nice move. Now, if we do get the break of the 20-day, you know, and the confirmation would be really break below that candlestick there, break this support, the next target would be this previous resistance support, and then underneath that. And LRCX could do it in one day. It can give you one candlestick, rip down, form one red candlestick right here. And then once it forms that one red candlestick right here, we can rip all the way down to the 50-day. You know, the last time we were at the 50-day was on April 27th. So it might be a good time to revisit it, especially with all these gains, right? Same thing for Nvidia. You know, 50 days way down here, right? I don't want the gap fill, but I mean, 50 days just way down here. Last time we were there was back in January. AMD 50-day is way down here. Last time we were there was right before we ripped here in May 8th, right? 50 days right there. So if we print one candlestick here, if they all print a candlestick here, we can easily fill this gap to the downside on AMD. What's the other one? SOXL. This is the 3X semiconductor ETF. This has a big gap to the 20-day moving average, right? Last time we were remotely close to it was on this day, May 24th. So there's a nice move to the downside if we do kind of break down on this sector, right? So LRCX to me is just the cleanest setup. The 20 days flat, it can act as a very clear support underneath this level, and then we kind of have, let me see. Yeah, so previous resistance on this day, a bunch of price action alongside it, previous support on this day before it gapped up. You see that there's like a kind of an indecision that occurred here with these two dojis before a nice strong move up. Next time it came back to this level, definitely a demand zone where it kind of tested it and then brought it way back up. Same thing on this day, kind of fell into this very small demand zone and brought it way back up, but there's a bunch of sellers sitting right here. So I think that we're going to bounce along this line here. 20 days is going to meet us, and we might, depending on who wins, right, between buyers and sellers. Now, if you notice, the highs have been getting lower. right? This high is higher than this high, and they just get progressively lower. So we'll see. You know, the 20-day can act as a launch pad too, and it can rip us to the upside. But this line at 612.71 seems like it's very crucial. It was demand a bunch, and I think that the demand's worn off, especially since it's only on the 1 hour. So I'll be watching this as the main kind of indicator for the rest of the market in terms of AMD, NVIDIA, TSM, MU, etc. AKAM, same thing. You know, if both of these print a candlestick right underneath that 20-day moving average, break below the level of this previous resistance here at 90.67, then we got some clearly defined downside levels. If we do hold, then we do, you know, we have kind of a falling resistance level there. Break above that, we can target the highs here at 93.89-ish, and then continue from there, break out to 96 or so. Now, you know, if you're looking at this, this is a very clear bull flag. I mean, here's your flagpole, and then there's your flag, right? AMD, you know, very ugly bull flag. And I say bull flag because we have a nice strong move up and then some kind of sideways action, right? NVIDIA, strong move up, flagged, and already continuing, right? Even on Friday, it made a higher high. MU, strong move up, nasty move down. I mean, MU's, it's not really in sync with the rest of the market, so we kind of got to trade it on its own. Let's see who else we got. And then Akamai was the other one. Bull flag, LRCX, bull flag, right? So if the bull flag fails, then we'll break down below that 20, give us some nice downside targets, but we're still very bullish, especially since we're forming higher highs and higher lows on this. Now, we didn't form a new high, but we did form a higher low. So just keep that in mind for those. Pinterest, we're in the gap. All right, we had this nice little gap down off earnings. And ever since the gap down, we haven't been able to close above the 200-day, except for this past Thursday. Pinterest is one of the few names that was actually green on Friday, and it's above the 200-day moving average. So now above 25.36, we hit that 26. Above that, we hit 26.61, which will put us right at my final fib target at 26.68. And the fib move was from the top of this candlestick here, where it started to pull back, to the bottom where it kind of started the move here. And no coincidence, the end of the move fills the gap. So we're in some Pinterest calls for the week. Pinterest swing was a 6:30 25 call, 78 cents. I mean, I bought it at the money just because I don't want any volatility. I don't really want to deal with it. It can move pretty slowly up, but as long as we're in the money, we'll be fine. I think we can see that $26 in the next 2 days or so. So I'll be watching that for this week. I just want to see continuation move. Last one, I believe. Let's see. Last one. Costco. Is this my last one? Yes, this is my last one. No, one more. Costco. So now I had my previous level here at the high of this candlestick, this very pivotal candlestick where a pivot occurred and brought price from going up into going down very, very hard. Lots of supply sitting in this level. A bunch of sellers sitting in this level, interested in bringing the price back down. As you can see on Thursday's price action, there was a little bit of indecision. And thankfully for the bears, we had a nice quad witching, which brought some of these tickers straight down, right? We broke the low of this day and the low of this day. And the reason why I like this setup so much is because we have some nice, clearly defined downside targets getting lower and lower. Potential pivot machine gun going on here. If we can fill this gap here, break below the doji here into the low of the day, we can rip down, right? Costco give us a nice move to the downside, right into that 20-day moving average where we'll find some support. So I like it to the downside, especially with this red day that ES is putting in. Costco is one of the best setups in the market, especially with this very, very long-term wedge. Let's go to the weekly. Now, all that being said, I mean, we did wedge a bunch. Price consolidated for months and months and months until we started to break out, forming higher highs and higher lows on the weeklies. We did get a strong rejection here, but if we can break above the high of this previous week, we can test that 542.58. So either way, I think we're going to have a nice move out of Costco. You see how long this thing has been consolidating for. We're going to get a nice move to the upside or a nice move rejection to the downside. One or the other is going to be a very, very strong move based on all this time has been consolidating. Basically, whoever wins the battle between buyers and sellers that occurred within this wedge will win for a very, very long time. Now, if it does go to the upside, I'm looking for 600, which is right where the rejection occurred back then on the weekly. And if we do fail, if we do, you know, trap a bunch of bulls and fail to the downside, then we're targeting that 412 or so level, right where pretty much where this candlestick's body is. Target that. That's your target for the downside, right? Either 600 to the upside or 418 or so for the downside. For Costco, last one is CCJ. CCJ has been showing absolute strength. This is the weekly chart, and look how long it's been consolidating for. Nice consolidation, big, strong breakout move. Breakout into a bull flag, continuation into kind of another bull flag, testing the top of this previous range as support. Little support here on Wednesday, bounce on Thursday, consolidation on Friday, potential continuation. Right, final target 34.71. This can possibly hold out for like a month-long swing, so that might be something that we might look for. I think seasonality is on their side as well. Let me just check the robot room real quick. I think seasonality is on the side of CCJ. Monthly, not really. I mean, it's not weak. It's not the weakest. It's actually the weakest in June, and now it's showing strength. Going into July, August, September, it rises little by little, strongest in November. So very interesting. Let me just check seasonality while I'm here for the banks. XLF. XLF seasonality is very, very high in July as expected. So I think that we're going to have a nice, strong month in banks for July, which I think Jake mentioned financials is going to be, it looks like there's some rotation into financials. The other one was industrials, seasonality, XLI. If I can spell seasonality, XLI. XLI, very weak June, very strong July, strongest in November, but very, very strong July. Same thing with XLF, very, very strong July. And CCJ building its strength in July. So potential continuation, I want to see it at $35 in the next couple of weeks. You guys have anything else you want to look at? Once again, sorry for being late. S, thank you for covering. And yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to look at, let's do it. Otherwise, my volume's up. Yeah, okay. Hold on. Actually, I want to let's look at it together real quick. I want to look at, where is it? I don't know if these things are still ripping. Yeah, they are. They are still ripping. So travel industry's been going nuts. Look at this weekly. Been going absolutely nuts for the past few weeks. Now I've been really hesitant in trading it only because the last time that I called it out, RCL, we got chopped up. We must have caught it like on this week, one of these doji weeks. But it's been apps. I think it was this week. Yeah, it was this week. I remember this setup, this strong move, and then I wanted the continuation, but I was too impatient for it. But I like where it's at now, above 95.30, which is where it closed. We can try to test that 99 level here. You see that's a very pivotal level where a bunch of sellers are sitting at. Every time price gets back to this level, it pulls back a lot, right? Even on this one where it built all its strength and then strong move into it, strong move down, right? To make a new low, right? Break this low and make a new low, and then work its way into a downtrend. So we're uptrend, very clean, higher highs and higher lows. I think it's due for a pullback. So I mean, bad timing and looking at it now. But if we don't get the pullback, I want to see that gap fill above 99.95, can go to 106 pretty quickly. Nice $6 gap or $6 gap. Otherwise, we're gonna get a nice strong pullback into try to find some resistance, some support at this previous resistance level here. So RCL is one that I want to add. Boeing was another one that I'm interested in. Boeing has this channel that's breaking. It's been breaking, making new highs for the past 3 weeks. I want to see Boeing above some of these levels here. 229, 233 for Boeing. Now that it's cleared all of the resistance that it had here, right? For the most part, we got to kind of break above that 219. or 221 rather, to then work into that 229, 233. But good consolidation, very, very nice consolidation, potential strong move to the upside into 250 or so. So Boeing's another one that I want to watch. Baidu, I like it. It's filled a gap here. I want to see it. It's got to come back to this level, 159. So we might catch some day trades on it. And there was another one. Was it this one? I don't know. It's not. I don't know if it's this one. This is a nice setup, only because we've taken out all this resistance here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks of resistance, all broken out in this one candlestick, and we have some nice potential targets to the upside here. This thing, I don't know how it is in terms of its short interest, but if there's some very high short interest on this, we can get a nice potential squeeze right through all these levels, back into this pivot here at 32.98. Now, I don't love playing tickers this small. Pinterest is one that I've been looking at lately. But if this thing gets moving, then there's no reason to ignore it. So I think that Dropbox is one that we should keep on our chart. GameStop. There was another one. Google's looking nice with this sitting on that 200 on the 20-day moving average. Now I want to see what it does into Monday. Was it going to hold that 20-day moving average and continue this consolidation, which I love, or is it going to fall down and try to test some of these lower levels for Google? So that's another one I'll watch. Let's see. I don't like having too many on my watch list. LI didn't give us what we wanted last week. Caught it on this. I think it was this day. One of these days, I forget what, or maybe it was this day. Got chopped up. Not a good look. But good inside bar on Friday. If you like it, you can go ahead and take the range break into the previous range, into 36 or so, for LI. Nice clean setup, nothing crazy. Let's see, airlines. Good consolidation. Oh, I love this. I don't love the price. If you like trading things this low, this is a nice setup. We have good consolidation right under the previous resistance, previous support there, forming higher lows, kind of a handle, right? Think of an imaginary cup right here, little handle right into a gap. Might be something there, but I just don't like that it's $10 right now. Baba was the last one I think I want to look at. Yeah, Baba sitting above that 100-day moving average. I think there's some strength in China forming right now, especially with talks of, and this is the last one, especially with talks of the U.S. reserve currency being given up by certain countries. That spells very, very bad for the U.S. dollar, very bad for the U.S. economy. So keep that in mind, guys. What that means is hyperinflation. What that means is the value of your dollar goes way down. Devaluation of real estate, all kinds of destabilization, right? Prices of commodities, etc., go way up. I don't think it's anything we've ever seen in our history before, because the U.S. has always had the reserve currency. So I would be interested in seeing what happens there. But anyway, people are talking about leaving the U.S. as the reserve and going into the yuan. And China's an ally of Russia. So there's a lot going on politically. But I think that all that being said, I think there's some potential strength in Baba if it plays out the way that they wanted to, hold that 100-day moving average. And like, you were talking about something that can really change our lives, and then I'm just like, all right, let's just go back to the fucking price action. Break above high day into 99, 97, 99, right? Those are your levels. I'm gonna go have a drink now, guys, because I just really depressed myself. But thank you for locking in with us each and every weekend. Thank you for being part of this community. I learned so much with you guys, and it's my delight to help, to produce for you guys. As is, I know I speak for Frank and S and Jake and JCat and DYT. I think that we it's truly our pleasure to have this group of people as a community. You guys are really rock stars and very, very fun. And personally, you make my day at work very eventful. And yeah. So thank you. Let's go have a glass of wine together, guys, and think about the devaluation of the dollar. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Frank.
Yep.
All right, guys. I'll see you. Peace.